What is going on, everyone? Happy Monday afternoon / morning for all my West Coast people. Today, basically like once a month, I really like to do more of a AMA style format where I can answer a whole bunch of questions. I know I just did a weekly recap on it Friday. But I only got to, I have a very, very small handful of like the backlog of questions that we have. So today what we're going to do is look, it's the end of the year, lots of questions about, end of the year strong. What are the things you can do to set up next year for success? All of that. Love Gerard's already in here. What LinkedIn analytics tool do you use? So we're already getting some questions. So if you haven't joined one of these live sessions before, welcome. We really appreciate you joining. I know it's a Monday. It's kind of our last full week in the office. So a lot of people heads down. I see Francois in here. He's already liked it. I appreciate that. So today what we're going to do, and I don't know, I might feel crazy. We might try to take some calls. We've never done like a live call-in before. So I'm going to tag, actually, Kara, do me a favor. Will you tag yourself in this post? And so if you have any questions, I want you to DM Kara and DM your phone number, and we can try to maybe do something crazy and like loop some people in live too. So in the meantime, though, so in these formats, again, the goal is all these different things that happen in sales. What are some questions that you have that we can try to tackle? And I've got some from, I think it's like previous LinkedIn lives that we've done or haven't done around sales processes, et cetera. So I figure we'll talk a little bit about leadership questions. We'll talk a little bit about tactical questions. And we'll talk a little bit about maybe, planning and prep and things like that. So 2 ground rules. 1, if you hear something you like, make sure to hit the like button. It's good. It lets me know that we're moving down the right, the path here. So hit the like button when you hear anything. And then, look, make sure to comment your questions. I've got some questions to get started. I appreciate we've already kind of hopped in, and we've got a few questions already kind of starting to come in. So make sure to comment, let me know what you think, and we'll just jump into it. So the very first question that we have here, which is a pretty easy one, what LinkedIn analytics tool do you recommend? So 1, we are the official partner of a European company. So if you need access to personal page LinkedIn, you can get at me. We partner with this company called Shield, and we're doing a ton of work with these guys in 2020. So the app is called Shield. Gerard, I think you've got my email. If not, it's Jake@Skaled. Email me, Gerard, Jake@Skaled, and I will get you hooked up. But basically what it'll do is it'll allow you to see for your personal pages. It'll allow you to see things like your top performing articles, viewership, like all that stuff, and like everything that goes into it. So that would be kind of the app that we recommend. And then we've got some cool roll-up stuff that we can do too as a part of that. All right, so we got Terry. What's going on? Terry Kelleher. All right, that's easy. I didn't butcher that one for once, which is great. How do I access my LinkedIn members list? So Terry, I'm guessing that you're asking about your list of contacts. So if you go to your LinkedIn profile. I don't think I can share a screen on this, or I just share my screen for you. So I don't want to tell you like incorrectly. But one of the things that I know that you can do is basically download your contact list. So if you go to your profile, you basically go to your profile. Let me see if I can figure it out here on the fly. And I think you click on followers, manage followers. There we go. And then let's see here. I'm not the technical guru of some of this stuff. It is possible, I can tell you that. The other thing you can do is go to my network. And I think within your connections, let me just see, I click connections. Manage synced and imported contacts. Boom, here we go. Okay, those are synced contacts. Boom, there it is. All right, I found it. Okay, so if you want to know, and Kara, maybe you can just type this out too so I don't forget, or other people don't forget. So basically what you do is you go to your connections. So you can click on your followers, and then you can go to your connections. It feels like it's almost hidden. In the top right, it's in gray. It says managed, synced, and imported contacts. When you click on that, there's an option to click export contacts. So go to your profile page, click on followers, then click on connections. Top right, you'll see this little thing, and it's like in gray. It almost looks like it's an ad. It's like right where an ad would be, and it says manage, and then you can click to export. I'm proud of myself. Figure that out like on the fly. So there you go. That's how you can export your contacts in LinkedIn. What's going on? All right, we got some other folks jumping in here. Doug Garnes, thank you for the like. I appreciate it, man. Kara will let me know. Again, we're going to try to do maybe some live AMA. I don't know. We've never done that before, so we'll give it a shot. All right, so since we've only got a few more questions in here and I have some to get to, I'm going to go ahead and keep tackling the questions that are coming up. So as a sales leader, what's the most important thing you should focus on while growing your team? This is a great question. So when you're thinking about growing your team, I think a lot of this, I can just tell you from my mistakes, like where did I make mistakes when I was like growing and scaling teams? Like what did I see that worked? What didn't work? I think the number one piece of advice that I can give you is focus on the person first and the outcomes take care of themselves. Meaning for me, and look, it's like, this is one of those easier said than done things. There are definitely times when you get so focused on the numbers, you get so focused on things that are going wrong, or things that aren't going maybe the way that you'd like them to go. And what ends up happening is you tend to focus on like the outcomes and the numbers versus the person. And so for me, when I think about when I'm at my best, and I think when my people are their happiest too, it's when I'm focused on their development as a person versus helping to fix like a little micro task. So as a leader, the most important thing you should focus on while growing your team is the people. And I can tell you a big part of that too, then it kind of fast forwards to the beginning, which is understand the type of people that are going to make a good fit for your company. So being very intentional about your role profiles and like what makes a good fit for your company, the role, and you as a leader. I think a lot of times we just look at the role and the job description. But for me, when I'm hiring, I'm thinking about, is this the right role? Are they going to be a fit for the company? And are they a good fit for me? Like, I'm not a good leader for a certain type of persona. Like I'm not very good with people that are kind of come in really top performers, but don't want to just sit there and kind of do their thing. I'm not a very good leader for them. So I have other leaders that are, so they could report to them. It's just not a good fit for me. So that's my advice, is get really specific on the role profile. And then when you're growing your team, think about you're growing your people. That your job is to get every single person within your small sales org to the next part of their career. Maybe it's at your company, maybe it's not. But if you really make your job as a sales leader to get everyone promoted, that, my friend, will have a massive, massive impact on their happiness, how they feel about everything. So that's what I've got for you. All right, Craig Smith. What is up, Craig? Craig says, how to convert views to sales over 600 views and no action. So I believe your question, Craig, and if I'm nailing this, you can tell me. Your question is around how do you get posts to then generate business or sales? So first things first, and here, Craig, let me go. I'm just going to go take a quick look at your profile here too. All right. So you are in lighting. Love that. Sales manager, like that. So I think, again, I just took a look at your post too. So see y'all, here's the website. I'm basically just looking at Craig's. So again, link to the website. A couple of things here. Okay, so you're in lighting. All right, and you do some cool lighting stuff. Okay, that's helpful. So my advice here would be, what you've got to think about is people don't necessarily want to hear about the lighting, meaning like you're specific. Instead, I would start to think of LinkedIn maybe a little bit differently, meaning maybe LinkedIn, instead of being where you just promote the lighting, instead, why don't you become the expert in ergonomics in the office place, or physical activations of retail brands, or like digital to physical. So I think what I see the people that are doing a good job of, and posts that are then converting to business, it's actually when they don't really talk about what the company does. So instead, Craig, I want you to think about, instead of posting, about the company stuff, instead, what's the problem that you solve? And can you start to be an expert there? So don't worry about the 600 views. Just worry about step one is establishing your expertise, if that makes sense. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is I would really, really, really try to think about not worrying about views going directly to business. Play a little bit more of a mid or a long game here, so you can get into that. So, all right. So Francois has a question here. I think Kara just texted me. All right, we're gonna try. I'm gonna try it here, Francois. I'm gonna try to call you. We'll try to do this. I can't promise this is gonna be epic, but we're gonna give it a shot. And then you all have to tell me if you can hear it. So Craig, that's my advice for you. My advice is don't worry about converting one post into business. Worry about establishing yourself around the topic. And then from there, trying to establish yourself. All right, so we'll see how this works. So speaker, my team's not very happy because I did not prepare them for this. I didn't tell them we were going to do this. All right, I think you guys should be able to hear this. Hey, what's going on, Francois? Uh-oh. You're breaking up.
Breaking up. Let me.
I've got a speaker. We'll do it with like a big ass speaker next time.
How's that?
That's good, man. All right. So what's up? So you are the first ever LinkedIn Live call-in guest of all time.
Awesome.
I love it. All right. Can everyone let me know if you can hear him? All right. We'll see.
Yeah, I can hear pretty good.
All right. Good.
My question, and I'll repeat the question I put in the chat session, was really, at what stage in your career did you go, okay, Jake, you killed it at Glassdoor, you've done really good at a few other companies, it's time to start my own shop, and I guess what were some of the reasons behind that?
All right. One, great question. Appreciate it. And I'll let you do a follow-up question too, if we get to one. So the question was around what made me want to go start my own company. So for me, I don't know. Look, I had never had some lifelong passion for at least maybe not like voiced passion for entrepreneurship. So for me, I didn't really, I didn't think about things like, oh, you know what? I'm going to work for XYZ period. Then I'm going to go start my own company. I was not I didn't quite understand that. So for me, what made me feel comfortable going and doing it is one, look, I had, at that point, maybe 10 years of sales experience, so I wasn't the most seasoned, right? I mean, I was only 32 going on 33. So I didn't have a ton of experience, but what I did know is that when it came to sales process, like this one little thing, I knew a lot more than most people. And I knew that I knew a ton about how to build a repeatable, scalable sales process relatively quickly because I'd done it multiple times over. For me, what happened was, this is where just being honest with yourself is really important. I realized I'm not a very good executive employee. And what I mean by that is that at the age of 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, I still didn't appreciate nor understand politics. Justin Welsh and I actually talked a little bit about this last week. So for me, it was like, look, I had just been fired from my second VP job because I got into it with our CFO. Again, numbers wise, we crushed it, but I just couldn't understand how to slow play certain situations and, deal with politics. And if people outmaneuvered me, and I wasn't very good at it. And I was just being very honest with myself about where am I at in my career? What are the things that I love to do? And what's next for me? And that's really where I came up with, the idea that I just saw a lot of VPs of sales going through very tough scaling periods and founders and not really having anywhere to turn. If you look at a marketing organization, right? A marketing organization gets a PR firm, web development firm, creative firm, all these other people. Sales gets a sales trainer if they're lucky. And I really thought that there was a need for someone to come in and support a VP of sales like an agency would on the marketing side as they go through those different phases of scaling. And so said, look, again, if what do I want to do? Go be a VP of sales, make a bunch of money again, and then get fired in 2 to 4 years. And that just becomes your life. And I just made the decision. I was like, man, no, I don't want this Groundhog Day over and over again. I want to go take the thing that I think I'm really good at and go and help a bunch of companies instead of just one. So that is my answer, Francois. I hope it helps.
That's super helpful. Yeah. And I think if we have time for a follow-up question, I would say, I feel like there's almost a trend in this industry where a lot of people feel like they have to maybe start their own company to really, really be successful, where I see people being what you want to call, I guess, an exec or a company guy for life, and they can kill it. So I don't think it's a one size fits all.
Yeah. And there's again, I want to be very clear. Like, look, I had, I'd worked for my first 2.5 years of my career, I worked in sports and sales. So I kind of just got better as a general salesperson. Then I went to Career Builder for 4 years. At that point, there was like over 1,000 people in the sales org. And so for me, that helped to teach me a process, and I was a part of like a little machine, and that helped me. So then when I went to go be a VP at a startup, I had been in enterprise sales. I'd managed top performing teams. So I already had a ton of knowledge. And then that was another, 2.5 plus years. And so, look, I waited until I felt like I had like some amount of expertise. And there's nothing wrong with, working at a company. I think the key is people have a preconceived notion that all big companies are, I don't know, like soul sucking or something. And like, it's just not true. There's a lot of really good companies. And that's why I think early on in someone's career, you can get a ton of value from, going and like learning a process and a system. I've got people even that have worked at Skaled before, where they'll come and they'll work for us for a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And they start to realize, we actually had a woman leave not too long ago, and she'd been with us for, about like a little over a year and a half. And she's like, I think I need to go like really learn structure. It's like, yeah, like that makes a ton of sense to me. So I think there's no reason to, downplay or to, downplay working at a big company. So I appreciate it, Francois. Again, if you have a question, maybe we'll try to do some other live call-ins. It's kind of fun. That worked out pretty well. So again, DM Kara Davis. She's at the very top of the comments. She can tag herself again. Again, if you like what you hear, make sure to hit the like button. It makes me feel good, keeps me going. The comments button, again, I love this. What was I going to say? Oh, there you go. Gerard's already spoke to his shield. I love it. So there you go. So let's see. Let's go on to some more questions here. All right. Who's up next? We've got Grayson Fulbright. Leads plus researchers plus outbound equals saving. Is it time? Let's see what it is. This is your tagline. I like that you have one. Equals saving time and making money. Lime leads. There you go. What's up, Lime leads? Okay. So his question is around social selling and being wary of social selling people. So his question was, I lost it. Hold on, let me go see if I can find it. Kara, did you copy and paste his question? There it is. I'm always wary of social selling advice out there because a lot of assumptions are made. What do you consider when social selling is more competitive niches? Niche or niche. But yeah, it's niches, niche is I think the singular. More transactional sales, more complex sales decision hierarchy. So again, there's a lot of a lot of different like moving pieces. So I'm a big fan. Like here's our philosophy at Skaled, and I can just tell you this is how we think. We don't believe in the concept of social selling, meaning we actually think that the smart way to do it is to engage with your audience and create like a mini relationship and then sell, right? And not even sell. It's just like, hey, is there a fit? Yes or no. So I think that the issue I see with most people in social selling is that, and especially when I see these guys, what cracks me up is when people are selling, they're doing social sales things, but every single one of their posts is an advertisement for what they sell, right? Which is not how you do this. So that's, Grayson, that's my first piece of advice, that you won't ever be as effective as you could be if you're not producing content. And I don't mean blog posts or long form, but just posting about, similar to the advice that I gave Craig earlier about what types of things to post. Grayson, if you don't post content, and you're not really creating a community, again, you're just creating a bunch of noise in the like you're just spamming people. Where I think the world that will be won and how you can stand out in a competitive market is, look, if you're selling leads, etc., it's not, you got to talk to me about, hey, what should you be looking for when you're looking for a partner for your sales organization? And then that becomes the types of content that you share. So then if I'm a VP of sales or a CEO, I go to your profile and I'm like, man, this guy Grayson really sees a lot here, like what's going down and like what's happening. So that would be my advice. You should totally, anyone peddling social sales or selling or whatever it is, if they are not consistently putting out content that's getting thousands of interactions or tens of interactions, it just shows me that all they know how to do is sell and like show up in your DMs. So that's my advice for that. So yes, be wary of people slanging social selling. Look for people who actually are out there doing it and it's working. So there's that. All right. So again, if you want, DM Kara. We'll do maybe another call in here in a little bit. So Alex Wilson, what's up, Alex? What steps do you take from a CXO perspective to make sure your VP of sales 22 revenue goals are big yet attainable? Okay, this is a good one. I'm sure your sales reps feel the same way. Like the sales reps get the trickle down effect of, there's this big number we're supposed to get in 2020. Like, okay, how the hell am I supposed to do this? So here, I'm just going to let you behind the kimono. Who was it? Maybe Colin Cadmus. Somebody did a good post about parts of this. But you have to understand, here's what happens. Your CEO goes, based on usually their last round of funding or their next round of funding, based on that, they have a milestone number that they have to hit, right? And even if you're not venture backed, it's still not that similar. You usually have a milestone. Maybe it's, we want to hit 50 million and then sell or whatever it is. And so then there's a plan to work it backward, which is this, and this. What I can tell you, Alex, the best advice that I can give you is most people do their forecast for next year based on forecasted productivity of their sales org versus actual. And so my suggestion to you, Alex, would be to say, look, here's actually how productive the sales organization is. Here's actually how many meetings we're setting. Here's actually our sales cycle. Here's actually our close rate. Here's actually like our churn for salespeople and our ramp period. So that would be it. Then you take back to your CEO. You say, look, here's where you want to go. I've got you. That's my job. I'm going to get you there. Here's what happened last year. And I want to make sure that we can hit that. So here are the levers that I think that I have. And then again, because every CEO wants solutions too. So I think for these, I can do this for this, but I'm going to need to hire 8 more people, or sales ramp is actually twice as long as we thought. So I need to start hiring in January. So I feel like a lot of times sales leaders sometimes they don't do a very good job of anchoring on the actuals. I feel like sometimes as sales leaders, and I work with tons of VPs of sales leaders, so I'm going to make some stereotypes a little bit. We're competitive and we like challenges. And so we sign up for stupid fool's errands that we can never be successful at. So for me, it would be go back and look at the actuals, anchor in the actuals. And then your second part here, then on the flip side, from a VP of sales perspective, what should a VP of sales do when they can fulfill these goals set for them? What is it, can or can't? The flip side from a VP, what should a VP of sales do to be sure they can't? That's it. So it's the same question. So that's my advice to you, Alex, is just anchor your forecast in actuals, not optimism. If you anchor your forecast in optimism, my man, you're going to be in a very tough spot. And remove the ego. Don't let your salesperson pride be like, oh, I can do it. I know we did this last year, but next year I think I can do whatever the hell it is. So anchor in actuals. There you go. All right. The questions are flowing. I love this. And you guys should be tagging your teammates. Tag your teammates in here. Have them jump in. We got another 25, 30 minutes of this. This is fun. Got some more people here. We can pick up the phone and call again. Make sure to DM Kara Davis, your phone number, and we'll do a couple more call-ins. Hit the like button or the heart or whatever you're feeling. Happy holidays, everyone. So Ryan O'Leary, he's a manufacturer sales rep. Love it. Have a few hundred contacts that I connected with and never talked to. How do I go back and start building a relationship with them now? Some I've been connected with for over 5 years. So Ryan, I don't know how long you've been tuning in for. If not, once I hit finish on this, you can go back to the beginning. But Ryan, the most important thing is just start to produce content. Just one, even if you're just putting out one post a week, I think most people can manage pretty easily 2 or 3 posts a week. that is going to engage those contacts, man. I'm telling you, so we had a client that we took on in our digital presence group. This guy had, I think a few thousand contacts, and the amount of new pipeline he generated in the first three, I think it was like 3 weeks, he generated 2 new opportunities and 4 closed deals. That was from his current network. So he just reactivated them. So Ryan, for me, I wouldn't worry about doing some type of like big relaunch. I would just start to put out some content, and then that will start to get them re-engaged. So again, you cannot do whatever the hell you want to call social selling. Again, social engagement is our kind of our term. You cannot do that if you aren't also a contributor to the conversation. You can't be great at it. So Ryan, my advice is don't worry about going back to them. Instead, I want you to commit. We did a thing called hashtag 30-day challenge. So if you want, go to LinkedIn, search hashtag 30-day challenge. And man, you'll see there were tens and tens and tens of people that kind of made this commitment to start posting once a day. And it had a big impact on their life. So that's it. Just don't worry about those people. Start to produce content, and the people that are vibing with you will hop in. I see Gerard. He also threw out, look at their profile. Yeah. But again, I would just start with producing before I even reached out to them. I'd get maybe 2 weeks of good content out there. So then when I engage, they come and they're like, oh man, look what Ryan's doing. All right. Cody Lopez, regional sales manager at Red Shelf. Let's see. What does Red Shelf do? Shout out to Red Shelf in Chicago. If you're a Chicago fan, I feel sorry for you. The Chiefs are coming for you this weekend. So I love Chicago. Leading edge digital course materials delivered effortlessly. I like that space a lot, by the way. All right. You asked, could you help talk through some ideas or strategies to help motivate a team without having direct control of implementing a comp plan, company goals, or career advancement within the company? I have to step out, so he's going to check out the recording. That's cool, man. Cody, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking this. Basically, the question is, how do you implement some type of like motivation for people that may or may not actually report to you? This was actually a very similar answer to what I gave at the very beginning, which is you have to know what motivates the individual people. Because I'm guessing this isn't like a massive group of people. There's maybe 4 or 5 people. For me, if I were in this situation, Cody, I would be going out. I would be having lunch, breakfast, iced tea, coffee, whatever your vice is, and getting to know them. Because if I start to have a conversation with Cody, and I know Cody is really passionate about X, and even if I'm over here, I can help Cody with that. He's going to be motivated to kind of move in a certain direction. So for me, what I've found the most successful is anytime I can align people with their passion, or I can align people with an understanding of how the work that they're doing will help to get to a certain goal, that is where I've had maximum success in my career. So that would be it, especially if you don't directly manage those people. So that's my 2 cents there. All right, Matt Heyer. That's great. Matt, I just want to let you know, I appreciate all your comments. I appreciate you chiming in, man. So his question, a little statement in the front. He knows my mantra, 2020, the year of the buyer, which I still firmly believe is correct. Is the economy going to impact any of that? Well, I mean, it depends, right? I think either way, there is a speed and a level of transparency based on how we buy in B2C, how we buy as consumers, that company to company sales is going to have to adopt. And so speed, actually, I'll give you a very pragmatic example here. I was on the phone with a sales leader on Friday. I think he has maybe 20 SDRs and 20, I think it's like a 1-to-1, 20 salespeople, something like that. And their initiative for 2020 is they're removing SDRs from the inbound funnel process completely. And let me tell you why I think that's going to have to happen. Again, as a buyer, I'm used to, I one-click something, I then go and learn about what it is, and then I can go forward and make a purchase. Imagine now, I'm a high-intent person. I go to a sales development rep who the organization hasn't properly trained on what the product does, what is the pain point, any of that. And so now I'm frustrated. And so those types of looking for the ways to remove barriers from customers, because we're constantly battling this efficiency or effectiveness. I can be more efficient and maybe slightly less effective, or it could be more effective and maybe slightly more efficient. I think over the last 3-4 years, because we've been deep in the sales tech game, right? We've done hundreds of outreach, Sales Loft, Discover Org, like you name a sales tech, we have touched it or implemented it. So I think what we have seen is companies, because they got all these shiny new toys, went too far toward efficiency to the detriment of effectiveness. And so I feel like that process of how do you remove friction for your buyers, I think is economy independent. I also think what's going to happen too is that, let's say there is a tightening of the economy. It means that probably salespeople are going to be let go too. And that means that sales organizations are going to be looking for more and more ways to be effective, right? So, and that might be, hey, you know what? We need to re-engineer sales and success working more closely together, or success might have to put on more of a growth mindset to do what's better from a business standpoint than a service or maintenance standpoint. So maybe we'll have a renewed focus on, how we actually treat our customers. I did a post on this last week, if you all saw it, it's just like current clients. I don't know how many startups I talk to and CEOs, and if this is you, you can change, that say our clients are our most important people. They put this in public, right? They're like, our clients, we do our customer advisory board and we do this stuff. But then they have a compensation plan where the sales team has zero incentive for the customer to actually use the product. Zero. That's like big prediction of mine. And by the way, I totally borrowed this from Mark Roberge. Mark and I invested in Mark's fund, Stage 2 Capital. I'm a big fan of Mark. That Mark has this idea of the new comp model being salespeople get 1/2 commission on deal close, 1/2 commission on companies started to actually use the product. I love that model. I want every single sales organization in the world to move to that comp model. So Matt, I think what's going to happen instead is we've got to realign to what's important for the buyer. So I don't think the economy is going to impact that. It might actually just accelerate some of the changes that we see in the sales org. So that is my quick take there. Dude, look, hold on. I got to call this out real quick. Doug Garnes. I chose to purchase outreach with my own money in today's environments where tools exist. Dude, I love this. Doug, high five, like virtual high five. I did a super controversial talk on this where I was like, look, if I was in sales, you rewind to 2000, when did I start? Like professional. I mean, I did sales in college too, but let's say like 2003, 2004. I 100% would have bought outreach with my own money. Like no change, like 1,000,000,000%, pay $100-something, for a tool that's going to make me not have to remember who to follow up with. Like no brainer. And then a bunch of people, your company should pay for it. Like, look, your company's job is to set you up for success, but you got to go do what you got to do. So Doug, I just want to give you big props for going out and buying outreach on your own. That's awesome, man. In today's environment where tools exist to drive efficiency, how do you feel about salespeople purchasing their tools? So look, man, do you expect your company to buy all the books that you ever should read on sales? No, obviously that's crazy, right? Do you expect your company to go and pay for a coach 100% of the time, or to go out and set up mentor sessions for you? That'd be nice if they would do it. But look, all to me, tools are an extension of that, of growth. That if you as a sales professional are working in an environment where your company's not supporting you and you're not learning these tools, you're going to be in a lot of trouble in 2 to 5 years, because you're not going to understand how to use those tools effectively. And that's where I get concerned. So, Doug, look, if I went and paid $200 a month out of pocket, and then I got 50% more efficient, I don't need a company to tell me I need to do that. And so for me, look, I get it. Of course, we should all go work for a company that will have ping pong and showers and candies and donuts and all this stuff, and every single tool. I get that, but at the same time, my company is not going to be the only factor for my success. And look, we pay for a lot of the L&D for our own team. I can't tell the last time we didn't approve, someone who wanted to go back to school for something or take a course. But look, I can't say yes to every tool, because again, implementing a tool can take more time. But if my sales, if Jenny or someone on my sales team was like, Jake, I need this tool, I'm going to buy it. What I would do is I'd say, look, you pay for it for 2 months. If you're using it, then I'll pay for it. So I actually think, Doug, you're just being smart. I wouldn't even worry that your company's not paying for it. I think you're just being smart. So, all right, everyone. So remember, we've got about 20 minutes or so left. So make sure to keep dropping your questions in the comments. We've had a really good dialogue here today, which has been a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for me too. When you guys drop comments, you hit the thinking man. It's fun for me too, just to know that, hey, this stuff resonating. Kara, I don't know if we have anyone else on deck to call. But another question here. We got a couple more. All right. Where was one I found? Grayson had a follow-up question. So Grayson, what's going on, man? I'm going to try to get to your follow-up here. What different ways do you recommend transitioning from social outbound engagement to a sales conversation? This is a very good question. So here is the play. Okay. I'm going to give you a couple of very tactical plays that you can use in social, that either we use in social or our clients use, that I think can be very effective. Okay. The first is, you're not going to be able to, well, actually here, I'm going to back up. One is, Grayson, you should have an audience development strategy that you execute once a week. So you should have a lead list saved in LinkedIn Sales Navigator. That would be the other one. I would pay for LinkedIn Sales Navigator out of my own pocket every day of the week. It's just too easy. Where you're developing your audience. And so every week I'm adding 150 new people in my target market, senior level people, influencers in the process. So every week I'm adding those types of people. So, and then I'm putting out content for those people, right? So that to me would be the big thing that I would think about is I'm building audience, I'm producing content. So now I'm getting more people to engage with my content. The other thing that you want to do is take a look at who's consistently engaging with your content. So again, if you're connecting with the right buyers, and then Grayson, you see on your last post that Johnny had liked that post, and you recognize Johnny actually had liked 2 of your posts or 3. 3 to me is like a really nice number. DM. If someone is interacting with your content 3-4 times, them hearing from you is not a sales pitch. It's like, hey, what's up? Hey, John, I saw that you've been into the content. Let me know. But again, it's not necessarily a hard pitch. I've seen that you've been into what I'm sharing. I really appreciate that. Let me know if you're thinking about these things. So that would be it. That's why posting content can be so valuable. So make sure that you do that. So pay attention to the people that like and comment. Once you see a pattern of somebody, boom, perfect time to reach out to them. The next thing is, in that same sales nav list, you can see it says shared in the last 30 days. So let's say you have a massive list, maybe 1,000 people, 2,000, 3,000, however many thousands, lots of people. You can go and you can kind of short circuit to the people that are actively posting and go engage with their content. So again, I've got these people that I know that I want to engage with. I go and just, every day it's only going to be like 5 people. Less than 2% of people post any content on LinkedIn. So that's an important thing to know. That's why you can stand out. It's so easy. Even if you only got a few hundred followers. So I'd go, and every day I would just look and see who shared, and I'd go comment on their content. And you'll see consistently that they have very few people that are commenting or liking on their content. And so that would be my next way to reach out, Grayson, is after they've published a couple of times, I would probably drop a comment and then come back, assuming it's relevant, with the DM that says, hey, I've enjoyed your content. Here's a little bit about what we do. It seems to vibe. We should set up time to connect. So those are my 2 kind of easy to implement tactics that anyone can do. So pay attention to who interacts with your content, interact with the people that are producing content, and then continue to add to your network. So that is my go-to. All right. Byron Hoffman. What's up, Byron? Senior account executive, strategic partnerships. What company you're at? A manufacturer, sales rep. What's up? I love this, man. We got a couple manufacturer sales reps in here. I love that. So Byron's question is, I got to go back to it now. It is, where is it? Do you recommend companies like SharpSpring that do it all for you, or should we go learn only what we need individually? So I do not know SharpSpring. Hold on. You know what? And that's the good part. You know, that's my favorite. I was talking to a parent this weekend and they go, what is it like, you know, what do you think about your kids? We're talking about AI and all this other shit. And I go, the most important skill that my 5-year-old needs to learn is how to Google things and how to use voice operated devices. And certain people are not a big fan of that, but I'm telling you, if you don't learn Google. So SharpSpring, marketing automation. Okay. So the difference, I would say, Byron, between the tools I'm talking about and SharpSpring is you want to be able to customize all these messages. So for me, you know, the sequence or cadence strategy that we use, every message, not the follow-up necessarily, but a lot of the messaging has to have like at least a hint of customization to it. So no, I wouldn't recommend companies like that. Or should we go learn unless again, like that's like your side play. It's like, I've got my direct, so this is for my top 20%, and I use SharpSpring for like a component of it, right? Where they're going to handle these people I can't get to, then I'm going to have my own play. And so that's kind of my point. There aren't any tools out there really where you can just put that top 10 or 20% of outreach on autopilot. So I would think about, you know, other tools where you can hit send all or do some more of that non-LinkedIn stuff for like your 80% and then use your 20% that's more direct. And yeah, you do need to learn it. You know, or don't learn it. You know, like here's what I would just say right now. If you go back and look at Facebook, and I still think I said this before Gary Vaynerchuk said it. So Gary V he might be more publicly, but I'm pretty sure, I think Kara or Courtney can verify this. But, you know, if you look at what happened with organic Facebook traffic in like the early 2010s, you could post and it would go out to a massive network. You could build massive followership. Same thing happened on Instagram. You could post, organic reach was stupid, massive followership. LinkedIn and then what happened? They went to paid and so many people lost tons of market share in terms of like their follower accounts. They lost tons of organic reach. And so my point is this, Byron, you don't have to get involved with LinkedIn right now, but right now, LinkedIn is over-indexing people that have less followers because they want more people to be content producers. And actually, Kara, maybe can you link to the article that Courtney put out that talks about the algorithm? Can you drop that in there? So we'll drop a link that'll tell you a little bit more. But I really want everyone to realize that in 2020, I don't know for how many more years we'll have this, but the organic reach on LinkedIn is silly. As an organization, and we're a 30-person organization, between myself, my team, and the company page, we're generating over 3 million free impressions on LinkedIn every month. You know, it's a few $100,000 in advertising. I mean, it's like stupid real. So, all right, that's what I got. So Brett, assume you're making a career move. Hold on, I think I'm gonna call to do his question. All right, Brett might call me, so that's cool. We can do that. All right, so I need some more. I've got some more questions coming in now. Let me refresh. All right, so someone sent a DM over where they asked me. All right, here we go. Actually, hold on. We got another call in. All right, we've got Brett. Brett can ask his question live now. Hey, what's going on, man? This is Jake.
Hey, Jake, how's it going, man?
It is going fantastic, man.
This is awesome. Great tech, man. It's good to do some tap dancing for your tech team, yeah?
That's why I've just got this phone, and it looks so great. All right, so your question.
All right. So assuming that, let's just say I got to the point where like, hey, I need to go sow my oats somewhere else. I've been done successful in this particular sales industry or a space, and say I want to move companies, make a change. How do you capture that on a CV? Because the numbers and the effort that goes into developing a pipeline in a particular industry may not necessarily translate.
All right. So the question, as I understand it, is you want to maybe change industries, but your CV or even maybe like your LinkedIn profile is from like the previous life.
Yeah, and it doesn't show like how much effort you go into prospecting, or the sales numbers may not necessarily translate over. Say $1 million of production in one industry is not anything in another industry, and sometimes you don't even get the look you going back to your career builder days, like you don't even get the look because the algorithms and all the scrapers are not looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. So I'll try to tackle it in a couple ways. So thank you, Brett. I appreciate it, man. You're officially the second ever call-in person. So you've got that going for you. So I'll put you down here, but I've still got you on the line. So I think there's a couple of different things that I would bring up as a part of this. So the first is, I think a lot of people don't necessarily, and again, like necessarily know how to like rewrite their work experience to frame it in this new world. So I would try to get super versed in the lingo of this new world and make sure that my CV recognized it. You know, make sure that like, hey, they talk a lot in ARR, or they talk about gross margin. And so I would try to do that. You know, there is a difference between that and like a skill. So like, let's say you've been doing mid-market sales. So the biggest deal you've ever closed is $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. It's going to be really tough to get a job where you're going to sell a product that's, you know, in the 6 or 7 in the 6 or 7 figures. So you're probably going to have to go to like a stopgap. You know, so you'll probably have to go somewhere where you sell something that can do that, put in your dues for a year or two, and then learn the motion. I can tell you, I mean, I'll get my own experience. I was when I was at Career Builder, I've been in leadership for 2.5 years, knew that I was managing a mid-market team. We had closed like 1 6-figure deal, but I knew that if in my next career as a lead, like from a leadership standpoint, if I didn't have enterprise sales experience, I wasn't going to be able to go and like, how can I, you know, at age 29, go like tell a 45-year-old grown ass man or woman, this is what you should do if I never sold it before. And so I realized that I needed to go back in the field and do that. So I did that for a year, and then Glassdoor came and it all worked out. So my advice would be, you know, I don't know if that is the gap, is that you're trying to go like upstream more enterprise, or is it a completely different industry?
It could be either. It's just a general question, because I think part of it is again, if you're looking at this and saying, yeah, I'm going from say even midstream to enterprise, and saying, hey, look, where do you get started? I mean, I appreciate that, because that's a kind of a gap step by step to get to that enterprise level if you are. But even if you're going from enterprise to enterprise and say you're selling, say, data on one side and then going over to say sell software, it's, you know, the deal size are the same. The selling cycle and selling motions are a little bit different, but it doesn't translate. But the real guts of the X factor of being a successful salesperson doesn't necessarily translate on a CV that would get picked up on any kind of word scrape. Yeah,
I think that's it. You're going to have to either rewrite your CV or rewrite your LinkedIn profile to have more of that industry, more like verbiage in it, or you're going to have to just do more hand-to-hand combat. And what I mean by that is like the alternative is going to be that you're going to have to reach out. Because here's the thing: if I'm a director or VP of sales at a company, and let's say I'm a senior person, if you send me a very specific, thoughtful message that basically says, look, here's my background. I grew up in the HRIS world. Here's what I know about this space and why I'm excited. Here's how I know my skills will translate. You know, I'm looking for 30 minutes to talk about the Delta, because a lot of people, you might have questions, et cetera. So I think the key is that you're probably just going to have to go sniper a little bit more. And I think if you do that, you say, hey, you know, here's an industry I'm excited about. Here are 30 companies I think are interesting. And then you put together kind of a quick, you put together basically like a quick, like direct message and send and understand you're going to have to send it a couple times. So again, I'd probably build out a list in Sales Nav, you know, connect with all the VPs of sales and directors. Because as a sales leader, you know, it's so funny how little DM sales leaders get from candidates. They get it, but way less than you'd expect. And so I think you could, that's what I would probably do. I'd probably realize, like, you know what, I can't beat the algorithms. So I can try to beat it by better positioning what I do on my CV, or I'm just going to have to start to do more hand-to-hand combat. So that's my top advice. So appreciate it, man.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Brett. All right. So second ever live LinkedIn caller. That actually worked. I could see that the audio levels were pretty good. So don't worry, Caleb, Kara, we'll set up a speaker next time, and we'll have like dual over here. All right, so I got time for one more here. I want to thank everyone. We've got about 120 people tuning in right now. Last Monday before, you know, the big holiday break. You know, it's one of those years where it's like you got Christmas right in the middle, you've got New Year's right in the middle. So those 2 weeks, I think, are going to be really interesting for a lot of sellers. So last question, Grayson. I love it, dude. You know what? You know what Grayson is doing that's smart? He's being selfish. And I highly encourage all of you. You know, I'm on here. I'm answering as many questions as I can. be selfish in these questions. Feel free after this, if you want to DM me a couple of things kind of housekeeping wise to know about LinkedIn Lives. I'd highly recommend all of you, either like the post or tag yourself. And the only reason I say that is that it will then show up in your feed to where you can easily access it again. If not, it starts to get buried in my feed and it just hangs out in my posts. So if you like it, hit the like button, tag yourself or tag a coworker, and that'll help you to get, that'll help it to show up more easily if you want to come back and access some of the things we're talking about. I see Tori Montgomery joined, strategic account manager at Social Live. We're using Social Live right now, which I'm sure that you know. So Grayson, amazing, selfish. He's got in 3 questions today, which I love. Last question. You engage on social, talk, and qualify, but they don't purchase. Do you change how you engage them? If so, how? So great question. So because here's the other thing is like why I brought up the audience development. What I see, a mistake I see a lot of salespeople making is that they're not consistently connecting with their territory, their target audience. They're really only doing it when they get a meeting. That's dumb. Don't just do it when you get a meeting. Like, grow your network. Like, what's the point? Like, like this old school thought process of my network is, blah, blah, blah. Like, dude, come on, man. Like, more network is better, right? Period. So that's just like one thing. So continue to grow your, sorry, Gareth Brooks comment threw me off. Yes, Gareth, you're late. You are late by 52 minutes, but that's okay. Because all of this is recorded. So you can go back and listen to all the good, the fun. So, and they don't purchase. How do you continue to engage with them? So one is just make sure you're continuing to grow your audience so you can continue to nurture people. That's like my first piece of advice. Second piece of advice is, again, what I would do is I would just pay attention to if they keep engaging with the content, and again, just looking for like that relevant event to happen. So that to me is, I think, a really important piece here. So I don't change how I engage them. We continue to nurture them. And that's why posting is so important. I want everyone to think about it like this. Every post you put out on LinkedIn, assuming, again, you're connecting with relevant people, that's like your own version of marketing automation, right? Like, that is a personalized touch point that I didn't have to nurture you, but you saw the post and you liked it or whatever. So when timing is right, I can't tell you how many leads, we get on a monthly basis where someone's like, that we've engaged with over the last 7 years. And they're like, oh, Jake, I saw this piece of content. I've been meaning to reach out. Boom. So I think the key thing that I would say, Grayson, is just the reason you post is to stay in front of these people. So I don't worry about engaging them as much. But again, by producing content, you keep them in your kind of your web here. So that's my advice there. So, all right, everyone, look, I might fire up one of these later this week. I don't know. We'll see. Really, really enjoyed the live call-ins. Really, I think we'll kind of keep with that theme. That seemed like that was a lot of fun. We'll make sure we get the technical details all worked out. But that's my advice, everyone, is like, look, this is a very specific date and time in LinkedIn's history. Get involved. Again, make sure to like or tag yourself before we end this. That way you can find the content, share it with your team. That always means a lot to me when you guys share the posts. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me. You can email me at jake@skaled, and we try to get to as many as we can. So thanks, everyone. If I don't talk to you beforehand, have an amazing holidays, and we will see all of you before the new year.